Welcome everyone to the May 16th, 2023 City Council meeting. I am Thor Dorosh, Chair of the Youth City Council. I'm joined here by Kaisel Stoll, one of the Youth City Council members, with other members present. Wow, I've already stuttered on the first time.
Okay.
Yeah! With other members present below on the front row. Let the record reflect that all city council members are present. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll invite Kaisel to lead us on that.
Please rise if you're able and repeat after me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please consider joining us for a moment of silence. Thank you.
Next up on the agenda are acknowledgements. City Council, are there any acknowledgements?
Well, I have one acknowledgement. I want to acknowledge how much we appreciate the Youth Council for being here today and for all the wonderful work that you've done for us this year and with the flag project as well.
I also would like to make an acknowledgement that it's been real fun. I've been a council member that's been associated with the Youth Council this year. I have a couple of granddaughters that are on the Youth Council, and it's been kind of fun to see them get involved in this kind of thing. So this is a real fun day for all of us.
Will we get a chance to have a roll call of who they are? An introduction?
I think we will.
I believe Thor was going to do that as part of his presentation here momentarily.
I also just wanted to acknowledge that we have the Ogden Marathon happening this coming weekend, which is so exciting. Luckily, fingers crossed, we don't have any more water problems in the canyon. And I know that there's so many great runners out there that are going to be participating in all the different events that come along with the marathon. Maybe even a couple council members.
Maybe.
At least one.
But he doesn't fall under the great runner category, I know that.
Well, just
Yeah.
being out there makes you great.
Yeah.
I think you have to be a great swimmer at this
Yeah.
point, you know, some places along the river.
No, it is exciting. I mean, just the fact that we always pray for good weather, and this week is going to be phenomenal weather, so that's great. And it's a wonderful time for people to come and see our city and really get to experience all the beauty that our city offers. So it's
For
exciting.
sure. Definitely want to acknowledge all the volunteers too. I was a volunteer one year and I was in the ice rain. I was supposed to be helping the junior league, but it was all of the parents out there because it was freezing rain. So yeah, we all did it instead. Great. Seeing no others.
Up next, our Youth Council Chair, Thor, will represent the Ogden City Youth Council with the annual report.
Great. May I interrupt just for one moment, too? We'd like to request that someone on the City Council talk about rearranging the agenda a little bit.
Chair, I would make a motion that we reorder our agenda a little bit, moving item 6A up in the agenda to 3B.
Yeah.
Got a motion by Councilmember Heyer, a second by Vice Chair Ritchie to amend the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Go ahead, Thor. Thank you.
Hi. So it's a really honor. I'm stuttering on my words. It's my first time.
I mean, this is a lot.
Yeah, it really is.
Big. You didn't know what you were getting yourself into, did you? None of us did either. So, go ahead.
Just breathe. That's the important thing.
Thank you. It's a real honor to be here. I know all of us are really happy that we were able to participate in this year. I mean, I could do the roll call, but I think it would be better if each person introduces themselves. So do you want me to have each one come up?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
just come on up.
Let's. Oh, that works too.
Yep, just take your turn.
Hi, my name's Ellie Gomez, and I am in 10th grade, and I go to New Ames.
Hello, my name is Aiden Boudreau. I am a sophomore, currently attending New Ames.
Hi, my name is Brooklyn Ritchie. I'm currently a ninth grader at Mount Fort.
Yeah.
That was a name I'd heard before.
I think she's really.
Hi, my name is Aiden Ochoa Contreras. I'm a junior at Da Vinci Academy.
My name is Melanie Juarez, and I am a senior at Da Vinci Academy. My name is Tanil Garrett, and I'm a junior at New Ames.
Makes me laugh too.
I'm Damaris Arzeno. I'm a junior. I go to Ben Lomond, and I'm the social officer. My name is Lacey Garrett, and I'm a junior at New Ames.
Hi, my name is Kaisel Stoll. I'm a sophomore and I go to Da Vinci Academy.
Well, I'm Thor Dorosh, and I go to New Ames. I'm a junior, and I'm here. Yeah, you can see a lot of representation from both of Ogden's charter schools, Da Vinci and New Ames. Da Vinci just a couple blocks from here mostly, and New Ames, which is out at Weber State. And then we also have our, I think, one Ben Lomond and our Mount Ford, which is a junior high that I went to. So, very proud. So that's our introductions for today. And then we have, here's the summary, which I should have moved the slide here. Again, not my best. Yeah.
You're doing great.
Thank you. I'm feeling that. So we went to so one of our one of the more things that I really enjoyed about this year was we went to we took the tour of the building, and we were able to see a lot of the older parts because of course this building is very old and it's a very beautiful building. It's like one of the prides of Ogden. It was built by an Ogden architectural firm, along with Ogden High School, which has a lot of the same architecture, built around the same time period by the same architectural group. So there's all sorts of amazing stuff in this building. We were able to visit the computers, which managed a lot of the city's management of water, the power to, all the important blood life of the city. We were able to go down to the basement. We were able to go all the way up to the very top.
I've never been in either of those places.
Yeah.
It's
we
cool.
Give a tour too. Yeah, we need to give a
It's
tour.
really
That's
cool.
what I was just thinking.
You've never been there?
No.
Okay.
It's just so up at the very top, that's where the old prison used to be. So it's kind of creepy, but you've got it's like it's the history of Ogden. It's beautiful. You've got the basement, which is also creepy, but there's a lot of storage down there. So there's tons of blueprints of old buildings that I'm assuming they're storing up there because you can't really get rid of them because they're records. It's like you can see the whole history of Ogden's here. So. I mean, between that and the libraries and the different places at Weber, which has a lot of Ogden history too, you have Ogden has a very rich history. So then we also did the holiday electric parade, the holiday parade. And we have our little, not exactly the best of the Christmas parade, but we worked with what we had and we decorated it and we had lights. And it was very nice, and we were able to see a lot of the experience with it. It was a great experience for our group. It was again an honor to represent Ogden City Youth Council there, along with some of the Ogden City Council members. And then you got me there with my big coat.
Yeah.
And then we went to Local Officials Day, which was by far one of the best experiences I've had. I went when I was here last year, and I took the same event. I preferred this year. We have a lot stronger members, and so that's the Capitol building of all of Utah. So it's made of marble. It's beautiful. We had a ton of different activities. We participated with a bunch of speeches and we were able to have like this dinner listening to a speech by Governor Cox, which is amazing, and his wife too, which she had a really, really interesting and amazing speech about community activism and the importance of community within Utah. We were able to get extra updates on the Utah flag, which is now Utah flag. And it was great to see that for me, for last year and this year, we were able to see how it evolved and how it was great. Yes. And then we also participated in the committee meeting. It was a mock committee meeting talking about one of the phone bills that was going on. And I believe it was, 4 members of our Ogden Youth Council participated, and 3 of them were at that table there, which was like the main group, and we were able to discuss and act and mock, edit, and I'm forgetting the words, the important like fancy words. But basically,
no fancy words needed.
We managed the bill and we were able to discuss it. Yeah. And then we also did a focus group. You've got, you can see up there, Kaihan. He's not currently here. He's the vice chair. But we have Kaisel doing what he should probably be doing right now, but he was busy. So again, me at the front because I'm apparently have no Tahasha taste. So that was, it was really interesting having the focus group. We got asked a lot of questions. We were able to talk about a lot of the different more interesting components of city building and infrastructure and like all the greater elements of having a strong city in the Wasatch Front area. And then we also did this Global Youth Service Day. I participated. I'm not in the photo. I couldn't make it to this meet along with a couple other people, but we all participated and we all did a great job. We got some of the important stuff for the pet shelter at Weber County. And then we, of course, participated in Ogden City Flag Project, which we've been with this entire time, like since the Youth Council really started up last year, but, well, it started up technically 4 years ago, but it was really up this year and last year, which is when we started the Ogden City flag, inspired by Utah's flag change. So the Youth Council as a group voted for what's been kindly named the Death Star. You're noticing it now, aren't you? Yeah, like you know, it doesn't hit you, and then it does. But of course, you also have the train, which since like stumbled upon us because we were like we had to choose which ones would go up on the next level of voting. And I've always stuck with this train. It was like drawn in crayon. I'm sure that it was a nightmare to digitalize. But that was the one I voted for. But everyone as a group voted for the Death Star. Yeah. And we're getting an update on that today, so I'm really excited about that. That's like one of the most excited parts of today. And that we were able to get volunteers from huge different parts of the community. We also had like hundreds of digital, which we did a bit of work with that, but mostly worked with the kids and schools that had the designs, and that was partially last year and partially this year. Long process, but we did a lot of that this year.
Well, welcome to city government. Everything takes a long time.
So we did our job. We participated. Yeah. So we just we represented Ogden as best we could at these huge events and also locally. I think the flag project is really like the pinnacle of what we can do. Like the long scale, but also small and community brand focused is like definitely some of the best that Ogden Youth Council can do. And then that's it, because yeah, so the flag, I'm excited for that.
Would you recommend to other people to be on the youth
Of course.
council?
So honestly, I think we could use more people from the local cities, local city schools that aren't charter schools, because we have a lot of charter school members, and it's because a lot of the charter school members have a lot more access to like wealth, and they're also they can get transportation, and it's and they also have the access to communication to be able to know about this, because not many people know about the Ogden City Youth. Like I found out about it through my mom, who found out about it through friends in city government. So like we can definitely get more people from more disadvantaged and more diverse communities through going to non-charter schools, particularly.
Will do.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do they have any type of, I mean, do they get any type of clothing or anything that says like Ogden City Youth Council or anything like that?
I think we have hoodies, and we had these shirts last year, but it's a bit hot for a hoodie this
I'll
year.
give you that.
And then the shirts last year, they're
Oh no.
Oh,
What
I didn't
was
design them.
terrible
You can
about
say it.
them? Yeah, you can tell us. Oh, you have to come to the mic so people online can hear you.
Go
Go ahead, Thor.
Okay. So you know, like the jersey material, it was that, but like in a collared shirt. It was very odd,
Oh, it was like a golf shirt,
but
something like that.
kind of,
Okay.
but like not. I don't know.
We can make it better. Yeah.
Well, I was going to encourage you to wear them at school, but apparently you don't wear them anywhere. So
Then no one will run me
we'll
on the
try to get something a
council,
little
yeah.
more appropriate.
We'll ask your advice
Yeah.
before we
Yeah.
go
But thank
next
you.
time.
I don't know. I didn't expect that.
Now we can have a flag shirt.
Yeah.
Oh
perhaps.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
actually,
Chair, can I make a comment real quick?
Sure, go right ahead.
Whenever you're done.
oh.
Yeah. So I just want to say that I was the lucky recipient of my day job and this job colliding, and I was and couldn't have been more proud of these young individuals who had great answers. I mean, I don't even know that I could have asked an answer or answered those questions as well as you guys did. So thank you for participating in that. That was a really fun day for me. And those consultants walked away and they were just super impressed. And, you know, they just basically said the future is bright here in Ogden. So thank you for participating. And I appreciate you very much on that. So thanks for all of you that took the time that day. So.
Thank you too. It was a great experience over the past year, and I hope I can do it next year.
Any other comments up here? Okay, great.
I have one comment. I don't think anyone up here that's had to chair a meeting also had to present. So
That's true.
I think
I've
that's a
never had to
first.
present up there, yeah.
Well done.
Good job.
Well done.
That was a lot of pressure, so
Yep.
they did great.
Chair, could I just make one
Please.
comment? I'd just like to thank the staff. So, you know, Ross was here first, and well, we initially got the youth council started during COVID, so everything was online. So you can imagine how effective that was. And but then Ross Watkins got it up and running, and then he left, and Brandon, who's probably our busiest staff member, was happy to take it on. He kept it running during the summer. And, you know, Ross has just hit the ground running with it. So I just really appreciate the staff and all the work that they do to keep it going.
Yeah, thank you so much, Warren. And everyone else, too. All right, up next, it
Do we
looks
get a
like,
picture with them?
I think so. Should we do that? Should we do the flag first?
Sure.
And then,
Yeah.
okay. Up next, we have new Ogden City flag. I think Brandon Garside is going to be talking to us about that, along with Youth Council. I never laughed so much in the meeting.
Warren told me about that. So.
Okay.
Good.
Bright-ish.
There we go.
Perfect.
Good evening, council members, administration, and Ogden residents. My name is Brandon Garside. I am the communications manager for the Ogden City Council, and it is with great honor and privilege that I stand before you to present the item before you today of a new flag to represent Ogden City. When the council office was transitioning from one policy analyst to the next, as Janine mentioned, I was tasked with overseeing the flag design project, which began from the Youth City Council's participation in Local Officials Day in 2022. Today, we find ourselves at the end of that project in a truly significant moment. The last time I met with Youth Council, I told them they'd be reminiscing about their involvement in this project for years to come. That maybe someday they'll proudly point to this flag and tell their kids about their crucial role that they played in choosing a symbol that represents Ogden. Since it was the Youth Council that got this project started over a year ago, it's only fitting that they also bring it full circle. So with that, I'd like to invite Youth Council member and New Ames student Ellie Gomez to take the presentation from here. And I'll be right here if you need me. Thank you.
Welcome.
How does this work? This way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Try it once. See, there we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi again. So my name is Ellie Gomez. And so today I'm going to present you guys the flag design that all of us had come together, to repicked, I guess. Okay, so this happened again at Utah Local Official Days 2022, and I was able to, I guess, win top 10 when it came to the whole flag design of Utah's overall flag, which is a great opportunity that I have. And we also were able to know, the 5 requirements of a flag, what makes a good flag, because, you can't just put something pretty and call it good, Of course, there's different things that go along in the background of that. And so we were able to get to know those things from, I think, what was it called? That vexillologist. Yeah. Oh, wow, you guys know. There you go.
I think
you guys are also informed. Yeah. So, yeah, we were able to learn a lot of cool information from them. And I didn't even know that was a name. Like, I didn't know that was crazy. Okay, so there were 81 student submissions. We all went around to different schools, including our own schools. It was even like elementary schools that I went to give this idea. And so Ross had printed out these little help design Ogden flag type little things, and it was like a description of what we were looking for. And of course, there was a little box where they could draw that. And then the part that I found the most meaningful and important was obviously the meaning. Why did they pick the colors they picked? Why did they pick the symbols they picked? And that was that was a big indicator for me personally of whether or not I liked the flag. But again, there's 81 student submissions, 77 online submitters, and in total there were 215. So of course we were really trying to reach out and try to get a lot of people involved in this flag design making. So, okay, so of course, Youth City Council, we reviewed 215 designs altogether, and we went by and we checked off if it fit the 5 principles of a good flag. So if it looked nice, okay, great. But if it didn't have a cool meaning, or if there was too many little pictures or too many colors, automatically we just wouldn't, just because again we need to fit the 5 principles of a good flag. And so after we forwarded on to 105, and then these designs were then forwarded to DRC. So DRC is the Design Review Committee, of course. You guys know that. And so it went through a lot of people, actually, which is amazing because oh my gosh, so many people got involved in this. I loved it. So Ogden City Youth Council, and then it was AC, and then the Diversity Commission. And again, it was just a bunch of people with they're voicing their opinion towards this really important thing. So. Okay, so there was a process, obviously, and the initial anonymized review. So that was the first thing, and it was basically 105 all the way down to 32. So that was hard work for a lot of people. And then there was a second review, and DRC they gave the 5 votes. So it was the top 10 designs, which is crazy. So again, it was 215 maybe? I don't know, 200 something all the way down to the top 10. And then after that, they took their top 10 and put it in order. So, of course, of which one they felt, was able to represent Ogden. Is there any questions so far? Sorry, I feel like I'm going really fast. No? Okay.
Looks good.
Okay, great. Okay, so again, you guys ranked your top 5 designs of the top 10. So the top 3 designs, remained based on those rankings. And so again, it was Ogden City Administration, Design Review Committee, and us Youth City Council. Again, this process wasn't really easy for us, especially it was right after school. We were all so hungry. We were just flipping through those things, we were eating, and we were just flipping through those things,
We fed you.
yes. So thank you, yes. But it was 2 of us at one flag thing. So it wasn't just my opinion. It was me and another person. So we can both talk about it and be like, okay, what do you feel? It wasn't just staring at it, dismissed, out of the box. No, of course not, because people put their hard work into it, of course, So it was two of us, and then from that, then we would go to another 2. So just kept going around the table until it was end. So it went through all of us. So again, we were all just there eating and going through these little reviews, writing loud rankings and everything. It's crazy, but it's a good way for us to kind of get to know each other too and communicate, because we were so kind of in the beginning it was a little rocky, nervous to talk to people. I'm a really loud person, so people probably thought I was really weird. They're like, okay. But after we went through all that, it was great. So again, have you guys know that the things you guys allow us to do really do also help us and bring us closer together. So okay, so these were the top 3 designs. It's crazy because the first one was actually drawn, someone had drawn it through a pencil, and then I think Brendan digitalized it, right? Is that how it went? So it was really cool, and I don't remember if it was a student submission, but I think I don't remember. Was it not? Okay. But there was actually some student submissions that did go pretty far. I was actually, wow. So okay. Okay. So again, the final design, this was the administration, DRC, and Ogden City Youth Council. And so these were our top 3. So it was this one, and then for DRC it was this one, and then for Ogden City Youth Council it was also this one. So you guys, be happy for this moment. Our flag is, that's what it looks like. So we can all. Yeah, again, so this process was obviously a lengthy process, but I'm really happy that everyone took the time to, really pitch in their 2 cents of what they thought, It means a lot, especially because, it's going to carry on into the future. It's not just a momentary thing, but it's going to be a long-term thing. So maybe when I'm old too, I'm going to be like, I remember, I took part in this. So, but yeah, is there any questions that you guys have? Any clarifications I can?
Any questions? I was just going to mention, we did check in because one council member asked, any of these flag designs, which one would look best if sometimes we want to make some parts of it purple.
Mm-hmm.
And we did check with Weber State, and they said that they sanctioned us to add some purple sometimes. So just so you all know, sometimes you might see it represented with some purple involved.
That's great. That's great.
That'll be awesome.
Is that it?
Do you have the meaning behind this one?
I do not have the meaning behind it. Do you have the meaning behind that one?
Can you make it up right now?
She probably
All right, so the circle. Imagine. No, of course not.
We might actually get to hear from the flag designer.
It should be in
too,
the
right?
ordinance.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in the ordinance.
Oh, you want?
If you want, let's see. Okay, as defined from the artist, and read from there.
Okay. Yeah. As defined from the artist, the focal point of the design centers on an iconic white mountain range that symbolizes the snowy Wasatch Mountains loved by Ogden residents. This 3-peaked mountain range is set in a dark blue circle that creates a high contrast image to draw the eye into the design. A dark blue triangle is centered below the tallest peak. That represents the individual or the family that is here in Ogden. The dark blue circle creates the letter O for Ogden. Symbolically, an O resembles community, connection, or collective people. The mountain range breaking outside. The O signifies the welcoming, inclusive nature of the people that lived in Ogden and the culture of tourism. The colors match the color scheme of the brand Identify for Ogden. Blue in flag design could represent freedom, determination, with the white symbolizing the sense of peace and harmony. And that was from the artist.
Very nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And
you gonna say something?
Upside down too.
I was going to say that maybe whether it was intentional or not, but there's also a W in there, and I think that's pretty cool.
Right, I think I'd be happy to entertain any motions on this ordinance, and then we'll do a little celebrating.
Chair, I would be happy to make that motion that we adopt ordinance 2023-24, amending the municipal code and pertaining to a new city flag.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Heyer and a second by Councilmember White to adopt proposed ordinance 2023-24. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Heyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Lopez.
Aye.
Councilmember Dodalski.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Vice Chair Ritchie.
Aye.
Chair Chaburka.
Aye, and that passes unanimously. Congratulations. So we do have the flag designers, the winner, as well as the two other runners-up. We have some awards for you all. If you'd like to come up for a photo, we could do that first. And we have a flag designed here for you to hold as well. So any of the artists, as well as the youth council, want to come up for a photo first, and then we'll do the other part. Does that sound right? Great. So we have Cody Hotkin is the winner of the flag, this flag design. There's the flag. Oh, is that the right way? Sorry, is it upside down? I can't tell.
Wrap around it like the Olympics.
Is that right? Okay, sorry. Congratulations to you.
I three. I'm
Yeah.
Don't go away either.
There, yeah, don't go away. And then Adam Wilson. This goes on that side.
It was not a slam dunk, by the way. There was a
It
lot
was
of
very
people.
difficult. They were all beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah, we did. Well, and we thought this could still work out for something else. And finally, Camille Washington. Beautiful flag. Welcome. Do you want to come over here for a photo on this side, and then we'll go this way?
Probably. Can you do both? Yeah.
I don't know. I can't multitask.
You want the youth council?
Yeah.
Up to you.
Maybe we could do them first and then bring the youth council up?
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yes, I don't know.
We'll have many
Can I get you guys
options.
to like scooch one person over this way? There you go. That's perfect.
Yeah, I
That's
know,
perfect.
it's-
Okay. Okay. Council members, find your window. There you go. Okay, perfect. Okay, look in here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, surely that's enough.
Okay, and then the youth council
Youth
maybe can
council,
come
if you wanna
behind
step in.
them. You all can stay up here.
Yes,
too.
Please stay up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't leave.
Yeah. Or wherever it might
Yeah,
be. So maybe a
like if you
row.
want to be,
Maybe
some people like
there's
want
a variety of
to
sizes.
kneel.
Yeah.
You can do that or not. No.
Do they want to come up here?
Yeah.
Do they want to come up here? There's room up here.
You can come stand up
Yeah.
here, some of you, if you want.
There you go.
Just bring, yeah.
Yeah. Some of you
As long
can
as you're
come
not
up here.
taller than me, you're more than welcome. I'm just kidding.
He knows that already.
Yeah, come on up here.
Young
Come
ladies,
sit over here.
That's what's funny. He even knows that.
I don't know, but I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's not hard.
Crowd in. We can do our side. We can do the sideways.
There we go. You got everybody in there?
Great.
Stagger.
Awesome. All right, everyone looking here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Awesome. And you all would like to say anything? Would you like to say anything to people that designed the flags?
Yes.
Hey.
Designers.
Designers,
The flags.
if you'd like to make any statement.
I'll make a statement.
Neil, we know you.
So, my name's Cody Hawken. I actually am an Ogdenite. I was born here over 38 years ago. So I'm an Ogdenite through and through. This is a great opportunity. I'm thankful for just being able to be a part to partake in this. I actually am a graphic designer, so it's an honor for and a reflection of what I do for my business. And so it means a lot to me, and I appreciate all the work that the Youth Council and all the other parties have put into this. I know it's definitely not an easy task, and so I just am grateful and thankful for this honor and for all the work that has gone into it. So thank you.
Thank you. And Cody, what's the name of your business? Would you like to say that?
Yeah, so I run a freelance graphic design business called Hawk Design, and I actually have an office just in above the Ogden Rec Center on 23rd and Washington. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Camille, and then I don't know what it's back there, and then Adam too.
Hi, thank you so much for investing in the way that Ogden is presented to the rest of the state and to everyone else, and to allowing the community to be involved in this process. It really means a lot. I'm a fan of the flag that's being replaced, and I didn't see it enough, but I think that this process was just so much fun for me. I'm not a trained graphic designer, but I was born in Ogden. So I was born in Ogden 40 years ago, actually. So yeah, thank you very much to the Youth Council. I'm glad you didn't call my design the Death Star, because I'm happy to be a part of the resistance. Thank you.
I love that.
That was funny.
Adam.
Yeah, just kind of repeating what's already been said. I'm grateful for this opportunity as well. I'm a senior at Ogden High right now, so I kind of jumped at the opportunity to design another flag. I maybe not have the best resources at the moment to design a flag, but I did what I could to capture the symbolism of Ogden. I've lived here my whole life, and I love it. I'm excited to continue living here, and I'm grateful to have this opportunity. I'm grateful to you guys for giving it to me.
Thank you. And I have to say, I think for all of us on the council, we loved all three of these designs very much. So when we sent it back to these other groups to give recommendations, we felt very comfortable moving forward with the winning design, but we really loved all three of them. So we appreciate it. And I should mention too that Cody received $1,000 for his award. And then also, Camille and Adam also received $750, or will receive $750 for their designs. We really appreciate the time and effort everyone put in, Youth Council, all the other committees, and the artists especially, because that's a lot of work. 215 designs submitted. It was really awesome that we had that kind of engagement. Any other comments here? Great. Well, I think what we'd like to do now is recess the council meeting for just about 15 minutes. We have some cookies, or actually some macarons from a new macaron bakery in our area, and some lemonade out in the lobby. And then we'll come back and we'll commence with the last couple of items on our agenda. So about 15-minute break. We'll meet you out there. A little wild. 18th, 2022. Councilmember Blair.
Yes, sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I have reviewed those minutes, and they are accurate to the best of my recollection.
And the joint work session of December 13th, 2022. Councilmember White.
Yes, they are accurate to the best of my recollection, and I propose that we accept these for approval.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember White and a second by Councilmember Blair to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Great. Now we're going to welcome Lisa Stout, our comptroller, and for the proposed fiscal year 2022 to 23 budget amendment, capital improvement projects adjustments.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, council members. The purpose of this budget opening is to recognize some additional budgets, but also to do a lot of cleanup of old CIPs. Just to begin the discussion, in the CIP ordinance, it allows a CIP to go over 4%. So as we clean these up, we're cleaning up some CIPs that still have small balances left, covering any overages that we found, and then moving the rest of the money to a recommended CIP. Since this is a pretty big budget, I will go through it pretty detailed for the record. The first budget action is to recognize wages and benefits in the police department. These are additional revenues that the city has received in school revenue. This is for the school resource officers, an agreement with the Attorney General's office, additional beer tax enforcement revenue, and overtime and reimbursements. We would also like to reappropriate $10,000 from our contingency fund in the general fund and move that to code enforcement to buy bulletproof vests for 5 code enforcement officers. The next, we would like to reallocate some funds out of the B&C budget. B&C is restricted taxes that can only be used for certain purposes. When we did the ESCO project several years ago, a portion of that escrow was to improve the street lights, change out the fixtures to LED lights, and we are repaying the portion of that ESCO project related to street lights with B&C road funds. So we like to show it as a transfer every year so we have a good record of how that fund is being used if we're ever audited. The total appropriations in the general fund total $380,200 with all of these changes. Additionally, we would like to recommend an appropriation in the capital improvement plan from the critical contingency in the CIP fund to move it to Union Station. It's $150,000. This would be put into FL007 and used for building improvements related to any flooding or those high water levels that they have down there. Union Station is in a flood area. We would also like to reallocate $16,000. Oh, I'm not advancing my slides. I apologize.
You and Thor.
Great minds. We would also like to close out the CIP for Fire Station 3. That has been done for a couple years. That money has just been sitting there. The CIP for the retrofit of Fire Station 4 went over, and so we'd like to move those funds to close out both of those CIPs. Those will both be zero after this budget transfer. We'd also like to close out the 9th Street parking lot CIP. It had $150 left. The playground enhancement CIP, which had $350 left. The trail sign CIP, these are all very old CIPs. There are new CIPs to do the same kinds of things. We're just trying to clean up these old CIPs. The trail sign CIP actually had an overage of $12,150. or excuse me, had a remaining budget of $12,150. We'd like to close out the park restroom enhancement CIP. It had about a $1,500 overage, and the trailhead entry points and camera CIP that had an overage of about $22,100. All of that we're going to net through the general parks improvement CIP and take $11,000 out of that to cover the overages and reduce those CIPs that had small balances left. Again, in the capital improvements program for recreation, we'd like to close out the 4th Street Ballpark drain repair CIP. Had $2,900 left. The Serge Simmons light enhancement CIP, it had $841 left. The Lauren Farr bathhouse went over $100. The enhanced scoreboard CIP went over $325. And then all of those, again, would be netted through the general recreation CIP, a total of $3,316. That general recreation CIP does things like fence repair, dugouts, general improvements for the recreation fields around the city. Next, we'd like to reallocate B and C road funds that were put into a contingency fund of $500,000 to the streets construction. Again, these are restricted funds. They need to be used for streets and sidewalk repairs. So we're recommending putting it into the street CIP. That's actually engineering's recommendation. We would like to reallocate $50,000 that's been in a contingency for the active transportation CIP and move it to the Centennial Trail CIP for $50,000. And then we'd also like to recognize the transfer of $214,650 from the airport. There's a CIP in the airport that was funded a few years ago. It ended up the development that this was related to didn't happen. So we're recommending transferring that back to the CIP and putting it into streets as well. And then finally, we'd like to close out the Courtyard Inn acquisition and demo. We weren't sure how much work was going to be needed over there. When we initially tore the building down, we put an additional $180,000 in this project. It was not needed. We're recommending moving it to the 9 Rails public realm improvements for the area around the plaza that was built in that area. Okay. Again, in the CIP fund, oh, whoops. I went the wrong direction. All of those transfers pretty much net to zero. The only increase to the capital improvement budget is $214,650 to recognize that transfer in from the airport fund. In the water fund, we would like to appropriate an additional $2 million. With the weather this last winter, it was hard on our water system. We've had some additional leaks and some additional improvements that need to be done. Talking to engineering, they recommended a $2 million increase. And then we'd also like to add $525,000 to the water operations budget. This will be used for a study of the water system to determine if there are pipes in there that need to be replaced that maybe have copper or lead. This was a state mandated requirement, so the city is fulfilling that by appropriating these funds. In the sanitary sewer fund, the net appropriation would be zero. We're asking to close out a CIP for slip lining and manholes, closing out the Pennsylvania slip lining and appropriating it to the sewer master plan CIPs. In the airport fund, we're asking to close out the Northeast Fire Flow CIP and appropriate it to the CIP fund. And we're also asking to close out the roof on hangar 755. That CIP did go over. And And then we're asking to put the remainder into the terminal building CIP. And then just a couple left. In the golf course, there was an appropriation for the El Monte deck. We did bid that out. We had a budget of $87,000. The bid came back about $160,000, and engineering would like to rebid it after the appropriation of the Muni Ramp Grant. If it's approved, they would go back out to bid. They feel like that would give them enough budget to complete that repair. And then in the storm sewer fund, the net appropriation again would be $0 to close out the 9th Street flooding, the Downs and West Oak CIP, 2nd and Harrison, and to appropriate $245,200 to the master plan projects, and then $245,175 to the Ogden Weber River CIP. In fleet, we'd like to appropriate revenue received from the sale of assets in the amount of $105,850. For public services, $275 for police and $525 for management services. And then to recognize a donation of a bus for the Boots and Bunkers program of $20,000 that was given to the city. And then in the IT fund, we'd like to increase the budget in IT by $700,000. These funds are used to purchase equipment for other city departments. We start with a budget at the beginning of the year, evaluate at mid-year, and determine if it needs to be adjusted. And we're recommending an increase of $700,000. The total appropriation, if this budget is approved, is $4,033,325. Any questions?
Thanks, Lisa, for going through each of those items. Any questions from the council?
Thank you for being patient with me while I did.
It's a lot of items.
It is. Thank you.
Well, we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing on this item. You're welcome to step to the podium to speak about this item alone. You have 3 minutes to speak. Just state your name for the record. If you're online, you can raise your hand. If you're on the Zoom meeting, you can raise your hand, I should say.
I have kind of a question.
Oh, sure. Come on up
When
and
you
state
guys
your
are
name for the record.
allocating all this money.
Can you state your name for the record?
I'm Teresa Holmes. I thought you guys knew me. But I was wondering how come nobody allocates any money to the wild bird refuge? You know, they really need help. And all those trees down there will get bulldozed and everything else if we don't step up and help, you know. I mean, that's a wildlife sanctuary, and they need funding too, you know. The birds need our help. Anyway, that's all I got to say.
Thank you. Any other comments here in the auditorium? I can't tell, Eric, if there's anybody online. If you have any comments online, you can raise your hand.
Chair, seeing no hands and no movement in the chambers, I would make a motion to close the public hearing on this item.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Heyer, second by Vice Chair Ritchie to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Great, and I should just speak to Teresa, your question. I mean, I think the way I can explain it is that the Refuge Center is not a capital improvement project, so this was just cleaning up some of the allocations from 2022 to 23 in that particular budget. Is that right? Just making sure with, yeah, you got it. Okay. All right. So now I'd be happy to
If there's no further discussion,
Please.
I would go ahead and make a motion that we adopt proposed ordinance 2023-23.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Blair, a second by Councilmember Nadolski to adopt proposed ordinance 2023-23. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Lopez.
Aye.
Councilmember Nadolski.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Vice Chair Ritchie.
Aye.
Chair Chaburka.
Aye, and that passes. Thank you. Okay, and then we'll move on to new business. We will invite our Executive Director of the City Council, Janine Eller-Smith, to talk with us about proposed fiscal year 2023 to 24 tentative budget.
Thank you, Chair Jaberka. On May 2nd, the mayor proposed his budget, and under state law, the council is required to adopt a tentative budget and then also the final budget. So I'm just doing a quick review of the tentative budget. First, just a quick review of how the council's role in the budget preparation. I meet with council members towards the end of December, 1st of January, and get individual council members' recommendations for and requests for money to be included in the budget. And then I present that to the mayor and the administration in their one of their budget retreats, usually in February. As part of that budget preparation, the council also reviews financial principles every year and does updates. This year there weren't any, I put this change this year, but actually there was a change to the financial principles. We went from 10% to a 20% fund balance goal, and then update the guidelines as well. The goals you're going to complete during the budget process, so those will be set forward as you complete your review of the budget and make any changes that you would like to see. Those financial principles are adopted every year, and these are just some key items that touch on those financial principles. Conservative revenue estimates, balanced budget, usually employees and are always a priority, gives direction on how to manage the investments, the fund balance, and the operating reserves. And these are directions to the administration for managing the city's finances. There was no proposed tax increase this year, so everybody can breathe a little sigh of relief for that. In the tentative budget, it includes employee cost of living, 1% COLA, and for all employees, a 4% merit for the general employees, and then step increases for police and fire on their anniversary dates. And those actually sort of vary from anywhere from 3% to 7%, depending where you are, where police and fire are in their steps within their ranges. There's a proposal of 9 new positions net, so 11 new and then 2 removed. Includes a general plan update for about $1 million, $750,000 for a consultant, and some additional funds to hire full-time temporary staff to assist with that work. There's money for the Union Station property purchase. This is the first year of a multi-year payment to Union Pacific. There's money for the Swift Environmental, which will be the closeout with EPA. And then there's recreation improvements, about $750,000. This includes consultants for the 4th Street Park and extending that into the property that was recently purchased from the school district. This is sort of a year-over-year comparisons. Last year, you requested that I also include the year-to-date. Because this is revenue, it generally doesn't change a lot during the year. So in this case, there wasn't much change during the year. There is some changes in proposed FY24, and you can see the percentages there. Those state and federal grants is the largest increase, and that's generally from additional funds for active transportation and schools and road funds that the city is receiving. Property tax increases, those come generally from new growth and expiring RDAs. and an additional increase in the collection for past due taxes. And then the sales tax has been projected at 4.2%, which is Lisa feels is a conservative projection. And then for all funds, here's general year-over-year budget comparisons. You can see there's a little more change in the year-to-year changes, particularly in the CIP. Those significant changes at the year-to-date are primarily carryover money that comes from previous years. As the CIP is multi-year and multi-year funding, it gets carried forward every year to cover those. Here's the proposed staffing changes in the general fund. 9 new positions. Assistant city prosecutor, a legal assistant, fiscal ops technician, lieutenant, sergeant, and police in the police department, police officer in the police department, a fire captain, which the chief talked a little bit about in his presentation in the work session, maintenance crew leader for Lindquist Field, and a refuse collector for parks. The lieutenant and sergeant are replacing 2 other positions. And then in other funds, there's in management services for risk, there's insurance claims, and another firefighter in the medical fund, which the chief also addressed. And then with that, there's 5 reclassifications and 3 title changes. So here's the wage and benefit costs for this current year with the increases, the 1%, 4%, and then the increases for police and fire on their anniversary dates. It's a $4.2 million cost, an increase of 5.14%. I wanted to include this. This is the general fund salaries and benefits as a percent of the total general fund personnel costs. So 72% of the general fund is made up of wages and benefits. And of that 72%, 72% is made up of police, fire, and public works. So all the frontline staff make up a significant portion of the general fund salaries and benefits costs. Council's always interested in focusing on the 5-year strategic plan. The primary directive, leverage our unique location, outdoor recreation, diverse population, and rich history to offer residents, businesses, and guests a vibrant community that leads people to call home. It identified 4 strategic initiatives: economic development, community safety, recreation, city image and reputation, and the council added a 5th of fiscal transparency, fiscal sustainability and transparency. This is the 4th year of that 5-year strategic plan. So next year we will begin working on the next 5-year strategic plan. Here's some of the capital improvement plan projects. I won't read them all through, but you can see, just sort of run-of-the-mill things that have to get done that keep the city running, keep the buildings running. You can see more in the review that Glenn Symes prepared, and that's included with the May 2nd work session agenda. And there you can see the multi-sport field enhancement and the recreation improvements for the Lynn Community Plan. That's that $750,000 for recreation. One thing that is not significantly funded in the capital improvement plan is the Marshall White Community Center. There's the $1 million that is required to be appropriated from BDO lease revenue. And the reason it's not is because the rest of the funding will come through bonding, and that could come through a budget amendment either this current year or the very beginning of fiscal year 24, so in July sometime. Also, the parking structures that you've heard a lot about, those have not been, they're not in the capital improvement plan, again, because there'll be bonding for that, and those revenues will be recognized in a budget amendment. The Canyon water line is in the CIP, but it's not funded because they're still trying to figure out how they can come up with $87 million. Schedule A would normally make some changes to the tentative budget. We haven't, administration hasn't identified any changes. The council staff hasn't identified any changes. So there will no be Schedule A attached changes to the tentative budget. The council may direct additional changes in the Schedule A1, which will be attached to the final budget ordinance. So here's just a quick review of the council budget process schedule. We had the mayor's proposed budget on May 2nd, and you hold work sessions from May 9th through June 13th. You'll adopt a tentative budget on June 6th and have the public hearing and adopt the final budget on June 20th. By state law, you are required to adopt it by June 30th. So if necessary, we could have that fifth Tuesday or fourth Tuesday, you could have another meeting if for some reason we needed to make additional changes. So that's a quick review of the tentative budget, and the recommendation is just to set the public hearing for June 6th.
Any questions from council members?
Janine, I just had a question, and I don't know if I just misunderstood on this, going clear back to the year-over-year general fund revenue comparisons. There's the FY23 adopted budget, and then the year-to-date numbers, which line up perfectly all the way down to the other revenue sources. And so I'm just wondering, are those accurate numbers? Is the year-to-date collection of property tax exactly what we had budgeted? And the sales tax, or is there
this is year to date
of the estimates?
Budget. It's not collected.
It's not actuals.
It's
okay.
not actuals.
Yeah. Is there a way to? I don't know if there's a way to. I don't know. We need it tonight necessarily, but I'm just curious about what that might look like. Because I know that there was a projection that we might, it said that we were thinking we might overshoot the sales tax, but then there was a leveling off, and so I'm just curious where we are on.
We'll be submitting to you probably tomorrow the quarterly update budget numbers, and so you'll be able to see where we are. Sales tax has flattened the last few months, so I mean that's happening everywhere, but it is happening here. But you guys should be getting that report.
Okay.
So that would be through the end of March.
Okay, yeah, that helps that out quite a bit. So.
Thanks. Any other questions? I have a couple of questions. I think I asked this before, but I just wanted to clarify, Janine. When we are budgeting for the 4% merit increase, is that just budgeted at the level that everybody would get the 4%, or is it like an average, or?
I'm not exactly sure how the administration, I think it's budgeted for everyone to get it. I don't know if they actually get it.
And then they get sort of their merit scores.
We go through, and if someone is topped out in their range, they would not be eligible, and that's calculated in the number. So we actually go to great detail on that number.
So I actually asked this question earlier today. About 25% of the general employees and are at the top of the range, so they would not get the 4%.
And they don't get a bonus either?
No, it's not proposed.
But if they got a COLA, an additional COLA, then it would increase?
The COLA applies to everybody.
Yeah, because it adjusts the range. And then the other thing I was wondering about, I can ask you later, it's not a big deal. Any other questions? Too many numbers in my head. Great, well, I'd be happy to take a motion to set this public hearing.
Chair, I make a motion that we set the public hearing for June 6th on ordinance 2023-25.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Heyer, a second by Vice Chair Ritchie to set the public hearing for June 6, 2023 for proposed ordinance 2023-25. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Great. Up next, we have public comments. This is an opportunity to speak to the council regarding any issue, concern, or idea. Please remain respectful. Step to the podium and state your name for the record. And you have 3 minutes to speak. And if you're online, you can raise your hand if you're on the Zoom meeting.
Hi, I'm Teresa Holmes, and I'm wondering why none of you guys can get together and help us with the bird sanctuary. I mean, I've been taking birds there for years, you know, and as of the 15th, they can't take anymore. And if they don't have time to heal, they have to euthanize what they have. Isn't there any way to extend this or to give them some money to help them move? I mean, I heard that they wanted the refuge paid $7,000 a month. Well, you know, birdseed costs more than that, you know, and I think wasn't it last Monday, Angel and some of her friends were out carrying signs trying to get everybody to realize that the bird sanctuary is necessary, you know. And all those trees over there, do you guys remember the old Joni Mitchell song? They pay paradise, they put up a parking lot. And it goes, oh, it only seems to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone, you know. And that's the way I look at what with the zoning of Union Station, the bird refuge. You know, we need to step up a little bit. Animals are my favorite thing. I get along better with animals, even raccoons, better than I do with people. And birds. At Union Station, all the birds used to chase my car. And I used to put water out for them and seeds until Damon took off the water faucet and started moving everything, you know. And then he made me get rid of the cat. So, you know, now you know why I have problems. Anyway, please get your heads together and help us with the bird sanctuary. I mean, this is the most important thing you can do. You guys are talking about flags and everything else. Well, birds will die, and some of our wildlife is more important than anything. And you guys seem like you gave more attention to that than you ever did with us at Union Station. And I'm still mad about the mixed-use zoning because you didn't put any restrictions on Brandon or Fisher or Damon, you know. That's all I got to say is we need to step up and be a little better, you know, and that's it. Have fun.
Thank you.
Save the wild bird sanctuary. Angel's trying.
Thank you. Any other comments? Welcome.
Heath Sato, Ogden resident. On that note, I actually had a question. I guess it's for legal. That building, speaking of the wildlife rescue, is, you know, a 12,000 square foot building, and looking at real estate now, that should be worth between like $2 and $3 million. And I was wondering if that means the mayor has the sole discretion to destroy any city property. So if a mayor decided to tear down Golden Hours to pave it for more parking for the park, would that be, could the mayor just unilaterally do that? That's my question for today. As far as the Swift building property was brought up in the budget, that the 300,000 closeout. I want to make sure that's actually like that's 300,000 on top of the 5.5 million. Are we in for 5.8 million at this point? And are we recovering any of that? And we were told 4 years ago that, what was it, Atwater Infrastructure Partners, LLC, who I looked up, they're registered to a small worn out tire shop in Alhambra, California. They've seemed to have disappeared. they were the developers supposedly, but at the end, in 2019, the end of the addendum to the contract for that manufacturing plant was the addendum said buyer Utah Smith LC, which is who we bought it from. So is that just yet another glaring typo? Or were we basically laundering the property for the previous owners? Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, it's been a long time since I've seen you guys. Malik, I live here in Ogden, 27th and Jackson. Police quotas have been banned in Utah since 2018. But the Ogden Police Department believes it found a different way to keep writing more tickets. Fox 13 News interviewed 7 current and former OPD officers who were too afraid to identify themselves and appear on camera. They each shared stories of how their supervisors pressured them to write more tickets. Officers, lawmakers, and drivers disagree. They feel the department is acting against the spirit of the law, or at best, breaking the law at worst. Officers said they were made to feel like their job was more about raising revenue than public safety. If that's not a quota, I don't know what is, said one officer. If you don't get a certain amount of tickets, you're going to be put on a work improvement plan for sure. Why would I ever give somebody a warning when a ticket is worth double the points, said another officer. I was told many times that the Ogden Justice Court was in the red, and that was the driving force. According to data from the Utah State Auditor, Ogden received more revenue per capita last fiscal year than any other large city in Utah, Salt Lake City, West Valley City, okay? Some officers said they were made to feel like traffic tickets were more important with their promotions and raises being directly tied to those numbers. It's an issue with priorities, said another officer. I'm not a big fan of writing tickets to somebody when I can go and find somebody that's got a felony warrants or somebody that has drugs or something like that. I'd rather much be doing that than taking those people off the street than giving somebody a traffic ticket. My question is, do we look like piggy banks to you guys? If all of you sit there and pretend this isn't a problem, then I lost confidence in this administration, especially your office, Attorney Williams. I've been gone for a long time, but now I'm back. This is going to be my priority. I'm going to make sure this goes away.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Good evening, Angel Castillo, Ogden resident. In response to Malik's questions, I have a question. In the article, I realize that there are 2 sides to every story and all of that. But in the article, and other people who have been speaking have mentioned that it's a metric for performance, right? I can see that if you want to measure performance and you're going to use the number of tickets being written to measure performance, that is one point of data. However, tickets and warnings should be equal in weight. If you're using that as a metric to measure performance, then tickets and warning must be equal. So I highly encourage you to look into that. On Teresa's comments about the Nature Center, yeah, the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center. It's very important and it provides a great service, and I've spoken with the county, and the county believes that that's a great service. And I also understand that as it stands right now, it is not your purview. And it is not your purview because there's a hole in the code. And I know a thing about loopholes in the code, If you remember the CIP where the Marshall White Center was moved up, it no longer exists. But right now, as it stands for 10 3B 203 with council mayor duties, right now, the mayor can convey or sell any property that belongs to Ogden City. You have a say in the RDA. Everything must be brought to you for the RDA. And while I may or may not have problems with certain deals, the point is that you get to do your job. You get to do what you were elected to do and to weigh in and represent your constituents. The way it stands right now, literally what was brought up, the mayor may sell or convey without any of your input any Ogden City property. You need to take a look at that loophole and you need to close up that loophole. And what I recommend is that if there is any valuation of property, building, or combination thereof that is $50,000 or more, it should trigger coming to you for approval. You were elected by the people of Ogden to be guardians of the budget and represent what's happening, but that's a big hole that needs to be fixed. You should be able to do your job, and our code is riddled with holes. So I suggest you look into that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Good afternoon. My name is Leticia Dornfeld, and I am also here to comment on the Wildlife Refuge. Along with the comments that have already been made on why the mayor has sole discretion over selling any land that is owned by the city, and I understand that none of you have any direct control over this, but my question is, if anything, why can't the Wildlife Refuge have more time, more than the original 6 months that have been given, and more than the extra 6 months that have been given with tenuous conditions added to it? Because this is clearly a very unpopular measure that has been taken. There has been no popular input to get rid of the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, because I understand that the Dinosaur Park needs a parking lot, but there's plenty of other land available for the parking lot. So it seems a little unnecessary that the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center needs to be gotten rid of for that need. Because if we get rid of that rehabilitation center, it's going to be a blight on the history of this city. It seriously will. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, well, seeing none, any comments from the administration?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
And on the council side, I don't know if anybody has any response. I believe, so the first one I want to respond to, I believe Brandon said, and I'm not sure if he's still here, that the 300,000 was the total resolution of that fund, so it's not on top of the 5.5 million, right?
It's on top of what we've already paid to clean up.
Right.
But the EPA had an additional $5 million bill that they needed to clear.
Right.
So we are paying 300,000 of that.
Yeah, that was my understanding too. Let's see. I haven't read the article about the news, about the police quota.
It's on, it was an investigative journalism piece on Fox 13 last night.
I'll check it out.
If you haven't seen it, you need to see it. And I do hope we can get some explanation on it from the chief.
Any other comments from council members?
I have a question for Gary. I'm wondering if there's any chance to address the question about destroying property. About destroying property at the mayor's discretion, the question from Sato.
I can give you a brief understanding. It's more complicated than I can give you in a 2-minute summary.
Sure.
We have a council mayor form of government. The mayor has the power to manage all real estate, including entering into both development and remodeling. That power is made clear by a case from the 1970s called Martindale v. Logan. And so it's very clear the mayor has that power. Of course, the power is all consistent with budgetary restrictions, but the actual management and control of real property of the city is with the executive. And that's, in our form of government, a separation of powers. The mayor has all executive powers. The council has all legislative powers, including all powers of the purse. Another person said that somehow there was a hole because the mayor could just sell property willy-nilly. Actually, there is no such hole. The mayor can't sell any property except for fair market value in the city unless he comes back to the council to argue for alternative value. And so that's all taken care of. There is no indication that this property will be sold at all. The Dino Park is Ogden City property, and the buildings and parking lot that will be built on this property will all be Ogden City property. And there will have to be some sort of either budgetary decisions or outside funds that are brought forward to do those sorts of things. And so you'll still have input in the future regarding what the future redevelopment of that property is. And in this case, all we're doing is talking about a temporary tenant who their agreement specifically said they were temporary and they were looking for a permanent location. And they've asked for more time and we've given them more time. So now they have 6 months. The reason why those 6 months only come after they have to take certain actions is because they told us they would need additional time after they obtain property in order to build out the building. And so really the agreement is fashioned for what they said their needs were going to be. And so the idea is they'll take the first 6 months to obtain property and the next 6 months to build it out. So that was the concept behind all that.
Thank you so much.
Any other comments from council members? All right, well, it's been an exciting evening. Great, would anybody like to motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
A motion by Councilmember Heyer, second by Councilmember Nadolski to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Awesome, thank you all. Thanks so much for that great flag celebration.